I want to talk about this article posted by Ken Klippenstein, which is an exclusive from him, which shows the leaked messages from Charlie Kirk's assassin. Now, originally, Discord came out and they said that the attack was not planned on Discord. They did not discuss and plan the attack on Charlie on Discord. And that's how Discord, I think, kind of pivoted out of the situation and said, whoo, not our scandal, and just kept on going. Because every time there's a shooter, the Discord CEO is in the fetal position, rocking back and forth, hoping for God there isn't like a 20-person Discord somewhere that's somehow going to reel its ugly head. And then elderly people across the whole country are only going to associate Discord with the shooting. I remember the Slender Man killings, or the Slender Man stabbing. It wasn't killing. The girl survived despite all those stab wounds. Where those two girls like stabbed that girl a ton of times in order to like impress Slender Man, the mythical video game character. I remember I played that Slender Man game in school between classes. I was goofing off, and my grandmother was told by staff, not because they were worried about my mental health, but they were just being like, he's playing games during class. And my grandmother had heard the story. And she had sat down and like about the killer, and she was like, "Is this a problem? Is this are you okay? Are you doing good?" Like I was going to go out and do the Slender Man attack. Like I played one thing of Slender Man, and Slender Man was going to possess me, and I was going to, I don't know, attack a mall or something. Very interesting to think back upon. She thought you were in the Slender cult. Yeah. she did for like half a second she suspected it. That I was in some Slender Man cult because all she heard was the news stories. Now think about that. Now put Discord there. They don't want to be associated with this. So at the start of it, they said they didn't plan anything on it, but they didn't say that he didn't make any posts on it about the shooting, which he did. And they did not disclose. Discord did not say that. They just led with the fact, and they were very careful with their language, that it was not planned there because they wanted to avoid a PR disaster. But we have those messages anyway, and I wanted to go through them. Here is September 10th, him messaging, actually on 10th to the 11th, where they're in a Discord chat with other friends, and they're talking about what happened. Charlie Kirk got shot, dead. I just saw the video. Rip, I guess. Bro didn't deserve to go out like that. Sad. Then Zealous Monkey 55095, which is Tyler Robinson. Hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thank you all for the good times and laughs. You've all been so amazing. Thank you for everything. I hope whoever responded to this was a better man than me. Because my first response to something like this, I would have reacted with an omega lol. I'm just being honest. I would have thought, someone was busting my ball. Yeah, okay, sure, buddy. Okay, come on. Let's stop. This is serious. This is serious. The country's, tensions are rising. Come on. At what point do you process that they're being serious with you? I mean, think about this. If there was somebody in your life after this chart, you're watching it on a TV, somebody walks in or texts you like, man, I just took out Charlie. Yeah, I kind of regret it. Anyway, see you later. Like, how does that even process in your head? You think you know somebody. We have some other messages here I wanted to go through that Ken Klippenstein put out here, which I thought was of interest. It's been so terrible, and seeing it from an inside perspective is so frustrating. A friend of Robinson since middle school told me. The childhood friend, asked not to be named for fear of threats, provided me with the above non-public photo of Robinson on a camping trip, a favorite activity of his, to corroborate their relationship. I think the main thing that's caused so much confusion is that he was always generally apolitical for the most part. That's the big thing. He just never really talked politics, which is why it's so frustrating. Mind you, you hear different things from different people. This person saying he's apolitical. At one point, there was a statement from a grandmother about possible conservatism, but it seemed to be more in reference to the family generally than necessarily him as an individual. Of course, there's been all these rumors about him being a groiper, which I haven't really seen anything to substantiate that. There were, of course, all the rumors put around that they were trans or that there was trans ideology on the bullets, neither of which have been proven. And so there's just all this speculation out there as still to why his motivations are. But again, this is another reason as to you can just wait. You can just wait. Okay. You are not officer. You're not the prosecution. Okay. You are an individual watching this on your TV screen. You can afford to wait until the answers are clear. The picture that emerged bears little resemblance to the media version. Robinson, I am told, though quiet, was a well-liked person with a supportive family. The friend group who he interacted with on Discord, far from some kind of militia camp or Antifa bunker it's been portrayed as, represented a range of different political views, but mostly talked video games. Yesterday, FBI Director Kash Patel said in an interview that Robinson subscribed to left-wing ideology, citing his family's remark to investigators. But those close to Robinson say there was a lot his family didn't know about him. Mind you, it's also the governor of Utah who said that he was radicalized in that way. Their ideas are based on someone they didn't fully understand, the childhood friend told me. Though the family was generally supportive of Robinson, a claim corroborated by his mother's Facebook account, brimming with praise for Tyler, they didn't seem to know about his relationship with a transgender person named Lance, the friend said. When I asked if his family would have been accepting, the friend replied, I don't even think Tyler knew the answer to that question, which is why he kept it so low-key between themselves. Tyler's bisexuality, the friend said, was coupled with openness on LGBT issues. But his wasn't some cookie-cutter lefty position on every or even most issues, his friends say. Obviously, he's okay with gay and trans people having a right to exist, but also believes in the Second Amendment, the friend said, referring to the right to bear arms. You don't say. You know, I find that very easy to believe considering how things have transpired. The friend described Robinson as a fairly typical young man, his age from Utah, someone who loved the outdoors, was a gamer, and into guns. To all of us, he just seemed like a simple guy who liked playing games, like Sea of Thieves, Deep Rock Galactic, and Helldivers 2. Well, at least one of those are good. I'll let you guess which. Loved to fish and loved to camp, the friend said. It really did seem like that's all he was about. And you can see here them talking about Helldivers 2. It looks like an expansion pack. The phrase inscribed on one of the bullet casings from the shooting, "Hey, fascist, catch," though widely reported to mean he was a man of the left, is in fact a reference to Helldivers 2. We've talked about this before. The arrows are not actually like the 3-arrow anti-fascist symbol. It's actually the combination you need to make in Helldivers, up, down, left, right, left, the certain combination you need to make in order to do an attack, a special attack. Private Discord messages shared with me by a friend of Robinson confirmed that Robinson wasn't some political martyr. A search for posts of Robinson's containing words like Biden and Trump turned up just one hit each. The Trump post was a passing reference to the 2019 impeachment inquiry. The Biden one came on the day of the 2020 election, where it provided an update to another friend asking about the status of the vote count. So it doesn't seem, by the way, we do also know he was politically unaffiliated when it comes to party registration. He was registered to vote, but he was not registered as a Democrat or a Republican. The childhood friend is a member of multiple Discord chats with Robinson. He described the group as trying to grapple with Robinson's motive, just like everyone else. Even the goodbye message he sent in one of our servers was so hard to believe. That's what I thought. My first reaction would have been, yeah, buddy. Okay, yeah, sure. So when are we going to, when are we going to Wingstop? We all just thought, what a weird joke to make. Then the news came out and we were all calling each other saying, check the news. Yeah, I don't know what makes a person like him decide he's going to drive 260 miles upstate to shoot someone like Charlie Kirk, then come back like nothing happened. It leaves a lot of room for speculation and theories, which is why I think they're so rampant. Part of the confusion he attributes to Tyler's quiet nature. He was a really smart guy, but super hard to read. Stone cold poker face, and you could always never be confident assuming anything. Remember that for that sentence, stone cold poker face. Remember that for the 10-minute hearing we're about to watch. When I asked if he opened up to anyone, the friend replied, as far as we knew, he was opened up. Despite his verbal resentence, Robinson was not a loner, according to his friends. Unlike the stereotypical outcast shooter driven to violence by social rejection, he was apparently amenable and well-liked. Everyone who knew him liked him. He was really nice, a little quiet, and kept to himself mostly, but wasn't a recluse. Regardless of the horrible actions that took place, we must take this moment to remember that God is living and loving God who loves all his children. A Discord post from another friend posting the day after the shooting reads, while Charlie Kirk's politics were not acceptable to some, I ask that we all pray for him and his family during these confusing times. This is 2 days after the shooting in the Discord chat where people have been speculating like crazy, saying like, hey, we need to find out where these terror cell is or the other people that organized it. And we find the Discord chat where he tells his buddies about what happened, and they're in there praying for Kirk. Really, again, it costs you nothing to just wait and see. The last message is religious in nature, which just goes to show the apolitical nature of the server. We all have pretty differing views on politics. We all just exist as friends and just play stuff. Cat memes, weather updates, home improvement, and the odd Garfield reference populate Robinson's posts. I'm going to eep pretty soon. Very eepy, he said in one post, an intentionally serious misspelling of the word sleepy, a common Gen Z convention. It says gullible on the ceiling. Spring in New Hampshire. The federal government, the Washington crowd, and corporate media see the country in wholly partisan terms. Republican versus Democrat, red versus blue, old media versus social media, liberal versus conservative, right versus left, straight versus gay, and so on and so on. Charlie Kirk's assassination should remind us of the actual diversity of the nation and of the cost of the polarization that demonizes the other side. No one in Robertson's group is cheering or justifying the murder in any of the messages I reviewed. They're just struggling to understand what their friend did. But Washington has become obsessed with the Discord chat, convinced it's some kind of headquarters for the murdered and cauldron of radicalized conspiracy. Today, FBI Director Patel vowed to investigate anyone and everyone in that Discord chat. What I see is a bunch of young people shocked, horrified, and searching for answers like the rest of the country. This is great work by Ken Klipperstein. When he gets these types of exclusives, and he puts them out there, free access, there's no paywall, it's beautiful, no paywall, it's beautiful, no paywall. You gotta give him credit. You gotta give him credit for this. This is good reporting by him. And this gets us information way in advance of a ton of speculation that was gonna happen in the weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks until we eventually saw, either through court proceedings or otherwise, these Discord messages actually posted publicly. And in the time being, what was going to happen to those people in those Discord chat? Were they going to be demonized? Were they going to be misconstrued? Was it going to be something that ruined and followed their life, even though they had no blame, just like this roommate, this trans roommate that possibly, was a lover? Like, they didn't know anything. They find out afterwards, cooperate with law enforcement. And I still see people online trying to blame them or blame somehow trans people. And they're cooperating with law enforcement. They weren't involved in any way. They didn't seem to have any pre-knowledge of the attack from what we know at this point, assuming there's no big revelation that has yet to be revealed. And they're still getting blamed because they needed to find a way to make a square peg fit in a triangle hole. Originally, it was Charlie Kirk is talking about trans shooter, and he's shot. What if he was shot by a trans shooter? And that idea in a righty head is powerful. The imagery of that would be powerful. The trans shuts down Charlie as he's speaking through the power. Like, that's the idea the right would project. But that didn't end up being the idea. I was like, well, but it seems from the first statements being put out by Steven Crowder in his exclusive that the bullets had transgender ideology on them. So maybe if we still don't know if the shooter's trans, but we know the bullets are trans. And then it seemed to just be OWO in reference to like a text meme. OWO notices bulge. Now, I did want to say something in that text back and forth, and I don't know if I'm the only one who, I haven't seen anybody else mention this, and I thought about this earlier today. Isn't the next line in that text speech, like that text meme about like notices bulge, OWO, isn't the next line nuzzles your neck? Anyway, just something I thought about. Probably nothing, but just something I thought about. I wanted to go check out the actual first court appearance of Tyler Robinson, where he shows that poker face, and we get from the court the first layout of what they believe to have occurred, as well as the charges laid against him. And with all this noise online, I think this 10 minutes of clarity would be very helpful.
Good afternoon. My name is Judge Graff. I will be handling the first appearance calendar today.
And there he is in the bottom left-hand corner. I hope you like that expression, because it is not going to change for 10 minutes.
Conclusion of the hearing, at the conclusion of the hearing for the first case, the court will take a recess and remind all those who are scheduled for the first appearance calendar to log back in 15 minutes after the court has taken a recess. As a general note, no electronic usage is allowed unless pre-approved. Any disruptions will be removed. To the jail, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Calling case 251-403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson. I'm Judge Graff.
And that's it. That's all the speaking you're getting. Sorry to give a spoiler.
Mr. Skordas.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. You're probably already aware of my presence or why I'm here, but if not, I am not entering an appearance. I'm not counsel on this case. I'm working with the county to get counsel assigned, but we need you to allow for the appointment of counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Skordas. I want to go through the qualifications for indigency, but that is my intent, Mr. Skordas.
Very well.
And I thank you for being here. So, Mr. Robinson, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you. I have reviewed your declaration of financial status and find that you are indigent. I'm provisionally appointing a Rule 8 qualified attorney to represent you on your case, Mr. Robinson, along with the...
Essentially, as a 22-year-old, he doesn't have the money to fund a lawyer himself for this gigantic case where he's going to be facing certainly the death penalty in the state of Utah.
Their filing of their appearance of counsel, the assigned attorneys must file declarations with the court that outline their qualifications under...
Indigent means homeless. Yeah. If you're homeless, you can't pay.
Rule 8 and Rule 8C, under Rule 8B and Rule 8C for counsel appointment in a case where death may be a sentencing option. I'm ordering that those declarations be filed prior to the next hearing date, which is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. Mr. Robinson, I also wish to inform you of your right against self-incrimination. Anything that you say in court today could be used against you, and we want to protect your constitutional rights. Mr. Robinson, at this time, you will remain in custody without bail. Mr. Skordas, is there any other points that you wish to address?
No, thank you very much, Your Honor.
Turning to the state.
Yes, Your Honor. Chad Grunander for the state. I'm also joined, and they're listed as attendees, Ryan McBride, Lauren Hunt, David Sturgill, and Chris Ballard. We are the trial team on this case. I do have a few points I'd like to bring up with Your Honor. We have filed a pretrial protective order on behalf of Erica Kirk. We would ask the court to review that. It should be in your queue, Your Honor, and sign that.
Thank you. I have reviewed the pretrial protective order and will be issuing this pretrial protective order in favor of Erica Kirk. Is there any other business that we need to address today, counsel?
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file. Lastly, I would just indicate to the court and to, at this point, Mr. Robinson, that we are prepared to
Also, if you're curious as to what they were doing with Erica Kirk, why they were mentioning her, essentially the way it works in Utah is that there is laws to prevent victims and perpetrators of crimes from communicating with one another. So essentially, let's say Tyler Robinson, for whatever reason, made a TikTok and then started harassing Erica Kirk. He wouldn't be allowed to do that. Essentially, there's like it's meant to protect victims of crimes.
Collect all of the discovery in this matter and get that turned over to the defense as soon as possible. Rule 16.
Oh, also death penalty. Of course, he's facing the death penalty. I'd be surprised if he wasn't facing the death penalty. I don't know if he's going to get the death penalty, or if he's going to get life in prison. It really does feel like probably the two options here, considering the high-profile nature of it, the evidence that's stacked against him. I doubt he's going to enter a not guilty plea, but I mean, who knows? It's tough. He's got a tough case.
This point, Mr. Robinson, that we are prepared to collect all of the discovery in this matter and get that turned over to the defense as soon as possible.
I don't think our cousin Vinny could get him out of it.
Rule 16 requires us to provide what we have relied on in charging the information and bringing these charges within 5 days once it's requested. So that'll be prepared to disseminate to the defense as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Grander. Mr. Robinson, what I also want to do is you have the right to have the charges read that you stand charged of, and I wish to read those to you at this time. Thank you. Mr. Robinson, for count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-5-202, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years, that may be for life. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-11-210 sub 2 and 3C, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm and that the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent offense in the presence of a child. Count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or pursuant to any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, conceal or remove the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or a first-degree felony. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with an intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 5, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Count 6, tampering with a witness.
Wait, let me go back. That one was interesting. Most of this is what you would expect. Aggravating the counts because it was done in front of a child, which we know that, the Charlie Kirk's wife and child were at the event. That doesn't mean they were in the front row, but they were in Utah. But when he says this last thing about the roommate, him asking the roommate to get rid of evidence. Let me hear that again.
To or intended to prevent an official about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted, or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Count 6.
Mind you, these charges are charges. That doesn't mean we know he's guilty of it. It means that's what the state is throwing at him, and that's what prosecutors are going to try to prove. Whether or not that's true, he directed them, I have no idea. It could be a possibility, but that also does not mean that the person cooperated. I mean, if it's you versus the entire world versus, an ex, you're probably, in a kind of a tough spot there. There's not really many options, even if you wanted to choose differently.
Tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah, if the police, a violent offense committed in the presence of a...
Am I still, it says I stopped streaming. Am I still streaming on YouTube? I am still streaming on YouTube. I just stopped streaming on Twitch for some reason.
To wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if the police question the roommate. Count 7, a violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-3-203.10 sub 2 and 76-3-203.14 sub 3A little double I, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years of age, with knowledge that a child was present and that may have been seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. That concludes reading of the information. Mr. Robinson, this case is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. It will be a waiver hearing, and I will be the judge assigned to this case. And Mr. Robinson, I invite you to join us at that time. Is there anything further, counsel?
No, Your Honor, we'll have counsel appointed by then. Thank you.
Mr. Gurander, anything further?
One item, just for clarification, Your Honor, the hearing on the 29th, is that in person or WebEx?
Thank you. That is a great question. It will be via WebEx.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
All right. I want to thank all parties for being here, and this concludes this hearing at this time. Court is in recess.
Okay, so we heard some things formally declared instead of just being declared through third party or second party sources. That's probably that's a significant enough development. I think the biggest thing I heard here, honestly, was the story about him trying to cover up evidence with their former partner, former roommate. Now, I say with, but that's not what that's not what it said. It didn't say with them. It said that he tried to direct them to. But again, all reports indicate that they cooperated with law enforcement. So whether or not they were told by Tyler Robinson to do so and they just ignored him because they're like, "Are you crazy? I didn't want this." You know what it kind of reminds me of? There's this movie. Yeah, it's Dog Day Afternoon. This is kind of giving me like a slight Dog Day Afternoon vibe with Al Pacino, you know? It's a little, obviously it's different. There's a lot of things that make this a little bit different, but I'm getting that slight vibe.
All right.
For those of you who don't know what Dog Day Afternoon is a movie about a real life incident with the main character played by Al Pacino of a bank robber who goes to rob a bank in order to make money to pay for their ex's transition surgery, which their ex completely did not know about, did not want. And when the police found them, they were like, I have no interest. I did not want them to do this. Okay, I think that's everything. So now we have formal charges. We know what he's facing down. We know he's facing down the death penalty. And on top of the formal charges, we also have some new information about stuff we did not know about possible cover-up, as well as something declared by a court instead of just declared by people on Twitter with no evidence or no backing, with nothing on the record. Just the type of stuff where you delete a tweet and forget about it if you get it wrong. Spread of misinformation or harmful information be damned. Charlie Kirk shooter faces a difficult case, one that he is almost certainly to lose if he chooses a non-guilty plea. And if he lives, if he survives this, that will probably be one of the better outcomes available to them. That is where we are. Also, go see Dog Day Afternoon. Fantastic movie.